Vols are back.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee win! Out by Tennessee to one Jennings. Jennings makes
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now.
You found a way, okay? All right, now, what I tell you, okay? All right, this decade is going to be the decade of the Vols. You got me?
Reddit did to do and welcome into more important issues. It is Sunday, September 27th. The Vols are 1-0, baby. That's right. No losing openers, no losing to Sunbelt teams, none of that crap. Not losing to West Virginia in Charlotte. No, sir. The Vols went to Columbia, and they took care of business. And we'll get into the nitty-gritty. We'll talk what the Vols need to do and win in week 2, and then win again in week 3. But the bottom line is, if you want to go 10-0, you got to go 1-0. And the Vols went 1-0.
That's very true. And I feel like a lot of this season is just going to be kind of like college basketball, like the NCAA tournament, survive and advance.
Exactly. Now, there's going to be some games that you're looking at that you maybe would like to avoid, but you can't.
Right.
You got to play them.
Yeah.
Week 2 is friendly. It is a nooner. I don't know how I feel about that one. Tailgate-wise, I like it. It's going to be a fun one. Game-wise, not super crazy about it, but it's okay. I'm not upset about it either. So we'll make it work. It's Missouri, but we're not talking about Missouri this week. We're not, or this episode. We'll talk about it on Wednesday. Right now, we're talking about the Vols winning 31-27. Well, I guess not right now. That's what we're talking about this episode. We're talking about college football as a whole. High school football. Got some good highlights for you. I still need more highlights. Send them in if you want us to see. If you want us to see maybe your hometown team, maybe your alma mater. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe an impressive play you ran across that I would miss. Send it to me. I'll see it. I've only got, I guess, kind of 4 plays for you today. I've got a total of 9 total, but really only, I guess, 4, because we've got guys scoring touchdowns in high school football in this area, 6, 7 touchdowns. So
it's a lot.
It's a lot of touchdowns for one guy to score.
It is a lot.
So but we'll show those later on in the show. We're also talking about I already said college football recap. I did, and then dude, I'm so excited. This I don't know, like,
It's finally back.
I was a little nervous about opening with an SEC opponent, but why? It's a decade of the Vols.
Yeah, we won.
It's a decade of the Vols. I don't know. I wasn't.
And I mean, if you're going to open up with if you're going to open up with an SEC team, it's better for it to be South Carolina.
I would agree with that. I would agree with.
If you're
that.
going to go get your feet wet in the SEC, it's better to be a bad team like South Carolina and then Missouri. So you get 2 weeks of, getting adjusted before you have to play a big boy.
Yeah, I really do feel like it's a decade of the Vols because normally Tennessee would get just railed if we were forced to play a 10-game SEC schedule, but I feel like it was fairly friendly overall.
Yeah, as good as you could possibly get as Tennessee.
Right. No, for sure. But before we get into the show, because we are about to get started talking about the Vols and talking about some of the things that led to that 31-27 win over South Carolina. Before we do that, though, Landon's going to tell you all about some of the people that make this show possible. They're giving away some things, so make sure you listen closely.
Yeah, and he's talking about Blue Water Climate Control. They're giving away some free furnaces. Go check them out. Giving away a ton. Not just 1 or 2, a ton over the next couple months. So be on the lookout for that. Also go check out Tennessee Tap House and Hound Dogs. They do a great job of making this show possible. So go check out our sponsors and go make your account on volunteerroadshow.com. That gets you access to all our free content, all of our shows. A lot of good shows within the networks. Go do that. We're celebrating, baby.
We're celebrating. And
Put the victory cap on.
Put it on.
It's been a while.
It has, because I expected to have you put it on a lot during baseball season, but we didn't get that. So we'll just have to. We got 10 times to put it on. We're shooting to put it on 10 times.
Yeah, got to.
That's what we're going for. Hey, if you got any questions, drop them in the chat. I'm on Twitter. I'm trying to get on YouTube, guys. I apologize if you're on there chatting right now. It's not working for some reason. This new the way it's set up. Can't see it right now, but we'll get it up. You got any questions, drop them in the chat. Landon's got Facebook. I've got Twitter and hopefully YouTube soon. If we don't get to them right away, hang in there. We'll get to them at least. We got a special place in the show dedicated for it, so we will answer it at some point. So stay with us there.
We got quite a bit of questions tonight.
Yeah, we do. And not only questions, we also want your all's reactions. So send us a video on Twitter if you want, but we've also got a dedicated place on our Anchor page. So Landon will send out the tweet on game days. So click on that link. Give us your reaction, your unfiltered, raw reaction after the game. Win, lose, no draws in at least college football. In NFL, we had to watch that terrible Bengals team. They were trying to lose it, but none of that. So we want your reactions to the win or lose, and we'll post them on the show or on Twitter maybe if they don't make it on the show. Drop those chats in there. Let's get talking. Vols win 31-27 in Columbia. The $1 million cock did not get broken in, Will.
It didn't.
That's a lot to pay for a statue.
It was unfortunate.
And then lose.
We got off to a terrible start, but it's not how you start. It's how you finish.
You say terrible. I do want to say something. Not about, like, a lot of people saw that first drive and were like, oh, crap. But I'll never judge Jeremy Pruitt's defense by his first drive. I feel like he adjusts really well. So it'll never be the first drive that I'm determining.
Well, it was that, and then it was
the punt.
Punt, but JG misses Ramel Keaton on
Fair.
the sideline, wide ass open.
You're right.
And then that 2-yard pass back to Will Albright.
Hey, you gotta get. It's okay to get fancy. Someone said ugly. I mean, yeah, ugly's fine.
Will Albright is the leading.
I might be ugly. I don't know.
He is the leading freshman receiver right now.
Oh, nice. That's a good little stat. It's nice to be in that category every once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay, fair. I thought you meant the first defensive drive, and that's what I meant. But yeah, as a whole, did not get off to a good start. You're right.
Yeah.
And I like what Jeremy Pruitt said. He didn't necessarily expect the team to play well, but they grinded out a win. And I agree with that. I mean, but even though we won, we're here. We're going to talk for an hour and a half. We're going to have to nitpick, okay?
Right, yeah.
we can't sit here for an hour and a half and go, a win is a win. You're right, a win is a win. But let's start nitpicking a little bit.
Yeah, it's something to build on. It wasn't pretty by any means. And there was kind of that second quarter, especially for JG, was just rough.
Yeah.
But with, all that stuff happened at the start, and then I think they're on our 38-yard line, and we just get a stop and force them to punt. Didn't score any points. Because if you go down 14-0 that fast, that's tough.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, last year he spotted him 7 on the first possession too.
Yeah. 75 yards, same thing.
Yeah, well, one was in one play.
Yeah, this was, I
one
don't
took
know.
a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I think it was like a 7-play drive, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
It was not a long drive. They did. I don't have the time possession stat written down, but they did outpossess us, I think, by 10 minutes almost. So they were able to grind some drives, and I attribute a lot of that to at least. Listen, I didn't have faith in the South Carolina offense. I did not. At least not with Colin Hill starting, and then we know a lot of their talent was out, rather due to opting out, injury, graduated, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. I did not have faith. And then the defense, when you find out before kickoff, Sean Schamberger's out. Jalen McCullough, we thought was supposed to be out, but he appeared in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Weird.
Darrell Middleton was out.
And then you have Bryce Thompson playing safety. And I'm not saying, I think that was put your talent on the field where you can kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he doesn't play safety. He hasn't played safety.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely difficult for the defense to do some of the things. They adjusted. They got it figured out. But then I think South Carolina did a really good job in the second half kind of counter adjusting it or doing some other things that made us have to try to get some more pressure on the quarterback that kind of vacated the middle. And they hurt us over the middle.
Yeah, I think as soon as they learned that Schamberger was out and they were going to start a true freshman at that star position, Danico Slaughter, they just went right after him.
Yeah, and obviously they did some things to attack that position, but Danico Slaughter played well.
Yeah, he just got picked on.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen, but he did have a sack, he did have some pass breakups, but that was their best playmaker and they're going to utilize that matchup. So it is what it is.
And they did. Yeah. And they were able to. But the good news is Danico Slaughter did play pretty well overall.
Yeah, for your first college game, I don't think you could play any better. Just the middle of the field in general. It wasn't just him. It was our linebackers. It was, kind of everybody just had a difficult time defending the middle. And I think with having Schamberger in there, I think that helps a lot.
I agree, and I know a lot of people like the way our defense. You going back to the point of why the middle was open. I know the defensive line played decent, well for what they did. I mean, DeAndre Johnson kind of played out of his mind, maybe rose to the occasion, if you will, and had 2.5 sacks. But I don't think the defensive line is able to get pressure as much as they were without the way we blitzed our linebackers, without some of the blitz packages they had in there that involved vacating the middle. So that hurt us in that regard quite a bit. So you've got to, that's one of the things I wrote down in terms of things that need to improve. The balance of pass defense and pass rush. How do you find that balance? Because our safeties were not doing a great job filling the middle when linebackers were blitzing.
Yeah, it was like the interior linemen didn't get a ton of push. As far as now, they plugged holes. I mean, that's obvious. That they
80.
only 89 yards rushing on 35 attempts. You can't have anything better than that.
You definitely took away pretty much their entire rushing game, and then the middle of the line at least did good in that regard. You're right.
But it kind of seemed like we got just as much pressure with 4 guys as we did when we sent 5 or 6. As far as like the outside rushers, it was Kevon Bennett and DeAndre Johnson were the guys getting back there pretty much every single time.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And then obviously Henry To'oTo'o with the pick 6, and sat Shaw Smith down by himself.
Oh man, it was about to do it again.
He got lucky that he decided to run past him and score.
Yeah.
He got lucky. He saw
he was
the
gonna
end zone.
slam it. Yeah.
And then Alontae Taylor getting out front and blocking, and I do want to kind of talking about just talking about who impressed. I'm kind of skipping around here, but DBs as a whole I thought played really well, a lot, especially in run support. And then Alontae Taylor was flying around for 60 minutes. He played.
Yeah, he was all over the field.
It seemed like he never got over that BYU mistake last year, and I know some of that maybe was he was on a shorter leash, but I think South Carolina game may have gotten him over whatever funk he was in at the beginning of last year.
I think he's officially out of the doghouse for that performance on last night.
He's flying around. I think he had 1 tackle for a loss, 6 tackles, 5 tackles. And he played really well and played really fast, really hard. And that's another thing. It kind of felt like last year the only guy that did really good job in run support in terms of defensive backs was Nigel Warrior. Now you may have a couple guys that can do it, and Bryce Thompson, Alontae Taylor, Danico Slaughter, who had a sack last night.
Yeah.
He, like I said, for a true freshman who started, I thought he played pretty well.
Yep. And I thought our defense played well overall.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that first drive, just in the middle of the field, that was tough. But other than that, I feel like we played as good as you could against the SEC opponent. Now South Carolina's not great. I'll give them that, but still, you got stopped, you got off the field, and you gave your chance for your offense to put the game away, and they just really couldn't do it.
Yeah, you thought they were gonna have to stand up one more drive until Jimmy Holiday.
Yeah,
Jimmy Holiday recovers that fumble at the end that bounced off of a South Carolina.
Special teams, baby. That's how we beat them last year.
Where the breaks are made.
If we don't score those 2 special teams touchdowns last year, it's a 1-possession game.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely big, and that would have been tough. The offense was able to do their jobs in terms of South Carolina did not have any more timeouts left, so you do got to give them credit for that, because in that situation it's hard to pass the ball. We talked about on that third and what did it end up being 15, 3rd and 15. You want to get the first down and milk the clock, but you got to also keep the ball in play. It's a tough It's a tough call to make there. I think everyone agrees you run the ball and be done. You try to get the first down, probably don't, whatever, run it down to as far as you can and then punt it. They did that, and then obviously you get a little lucky, but you also have to recover the fumble, and Tennessee and Jimmy Holiday did that. I think I like what Jeremy said in terms of just you grinded out a win. That you truly did. You just grinded out a win.
Yeah, it's something you couldn't say a year ago, that this team just learned how to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
In those last 6 games last year, and then this year it wasn't pretty, but you found a way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think Jeremy Pruitt actually says that in a post-game speech. It's like, you found a way to win.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I assume you said something about my offense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
We've got to find a better way to interview coaches in an empty stadium. Jeremy Pruitt couldn't hear you, and
Gus Malzahn.
Gus Malzahn. I was like, who was it? Gus Malzahn couldn't hear you. I mean, come on. Give them headphones, sanitize them when they're done, or have 2 headphones, one for each coach that you give. I don't know. It seems insane to me.
Yeah.
Fix it. Things to improve on. ESPN. Get our coaches in headphones.
I can't hear you. Okay, well, this is terrible.
I actually kind of like that better. Let the coach just talk what they want to talk about.
Yeah, there you go.
So things that need to
Or have a whiteboard, just like with the questions, and let them just go down the line and just answer.
I love it. So things to improve on. ESPN do that. I think we got to find a way to balance the pass rush and pass defense. You can't rely on your 4 or 5 DBs to be in pass defense and make it, especially if you're not going to continually get sacks. I mean, you got pressure, but if you're not going to bring the quarterback down, you can't assume they're going to make those plays in coverage. What do you have for anything to improve on?
Third down for sure. 1 for 11 on third down, and the one was Brandon Johnson's one-handed catch.
Yes,
I mean that's bad. And a lot of that's on your quarterback.
It's on your quarterback because what are you doing on most third down plays?
Right, you're throwing
most third downs. I don't know what the count was.
And a lot of those, you had one to Jalen Hyde that was behind him. You overthrew Princeton Fant. You overthrew Ramel Keaton. There was just a lot that him and Keaton, for whatever, Ramel Keaton should have had well over 100 yards, but JG just could not hit him.
Yeah,
there was a lot where he was wide open.
It was funny too. It didn't look like he was sitting on his back, throwing off his back foot, but you have to assume he was for the ball to be sailing like that. But which makes me think it could be fixed, I guess, because it didn't look like he was, backing away from throws or running away from pressure or something when it happened. So it gives me hope that maybe you weren't able to practice with all your wide receivers. You weren't able to. How much full speed play did you do this offseason? So that gives me hope that it could be fixed. I don't know I'm not saying it will be, but it gives me hope.
What's so frustrating is like he makes throws like that where it's just like sailing over a wide open receiver's head, and then he makes a throw like he did to Josh Palmer where he just puts it in a freaking bucket.
Yeah, like Josh Palmer it would have hit Josh Palmer in the head if he just kept running. Yeah,
I mean it was you couldn't throw it any better. So it's just like some of the throws I'm like, man, that's terrible. I can make that throw, and some of them I'm like, oh my god.
Even
like NFL quarterbacks don't make that good of a throw sometimes.
Even the throw to Brandon Johnson, I mean, that's a good ball.
Yeah,
it wasn't going to be caught by South Carolina.
Right. Yeah, it's something you got to do. Yeah, it's so frustrating. I mean, it's
just because you feel like you're which I'll say this, what we said going into South Carolina, going into the season, if JG can be a game manager, and that involves no turnovers. I mean, he made over 60% of his throws. I'll give him that credit. And then a touchdown or 2. I guess he had 2 technically. He had a rushing. Mm-hmm. You're going to win games. So if we get that from him, Tennessee is going to win ball games. Now, you're going to lose some.
Yeah.
If you just have a game manager.
Right. That's what I think is the most frustrating part, too, is just you see what he can do, and you're just like, yeah, you did that. You didn't turn the ball over. You made pretty good decisions, but you could have had such a better game.
Yeah.
If you just play catch with somebody.
Right.
The easiest part of football.
Handing the ball's off pretty easy.
Yeah.
And then that flea flicker play, that was like backyard football.
It was.
So that was fun.
But it was a good decision. Like, you hit him.
I thought his decision-making was much, much better last night than what you had seen in even all of last season, and that includes the 6 games that you won at the end.
He throws better when he's under pressure. It's wild.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like he likes taking the hits. He steps into those hard.
He's tough, man. He's tough.
He is. He's a capital T tough player. I've also got for things that need to improve on special teams. I hate that Smaglia missed that one. He hit it hard, but just pulled it. Mm-hmm. You don't want those from a guy that you assume is going to be one of the best kickers in the nation. I don't think it was a long field goal. I think it was inside 40 yards, wasn't it?
Like 46.
Oh, it was 46. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, and then he hit the 27-yarder. Yeah. So okay, you got the one you needed. I take that comment back then. But special teams, punting games got to improve a little bit. The exchange specifically has got to improve. And then I've also got the last one for me that I think really needs to improve. Rely on the run game more, right?
Yeah, I think we rushed at halftime. We had 10 rushes for 11 yards or 11 rushes for 10 yards, something like that. And then we just Ty Chandler and Eric Gray just rushed.
It just seems like we go away from it really fast.
Yeah, I think that was part of the second half. We relied so much on JG just finding receivers, and it's just like, dude, run the ball. Our O-line pretty much dominated their defensive front.
Right, and I guess we can kind of flip over to who impressed, and that's my next part. I did like the play calling for the most part.
Yeah.
I thought outside of a couple drives, specifically the drive we go 3 and out, second to last drive besides victory formation.
Mm-hmm.
We throw 3 straight downs, have to punt. Those are rundowns.
Run the ball.
You're running the ball, and you pass 3 straight times, and I'm okay with a pass, maybe 2 in that situation. I'm third down trying to get a first, whatever. But I just feel like you need to run them more. Now, I love the way we used Velus Jones. I loved it.
Yeah.
Now so we can't. If you watch the game and don't look at the box score, Velus Jones has 5 catches for 29 yards. 3 of those were jet sweeps.
Right.
That the way they're doing the exchange is tossing
Considered
it to him,
a forward pass.
so it gets counted as a pass.
Right.
He had probably 2 receptions.
Mm-hmm.
3 of those were jet sweeps.
Yep.
They were rushes,
Mm-hmm.
but they get counted as receptions. So let's take a couple yards and a couple completions away from GG for being fair.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the way we use Velus Jones Jr. He's fast. Use his speed, get him on the edge. I hope that evolves, and I hope that evolves too to other players and using them in creative ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I rewatched the game. I didn't really notice how well of a game he actually had until I rewatched it. But he did great in the run game. He had a big return. Or in the did I say return?
You said run. I knew you meant return game.
Return game, yeah. He had a big return. And then you utilize him with jet sweeps and stuff like that. I feel like he could have been utilized more.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we really tried hard to spread the ball around rather than going with what worked. And I think they like to do that. They know the talent they have. Mm-hmm. And again, I can't decide if I like it or not. You look at Todd Chandler and Eric Gray. Todd Chandler's running the ball really well. I guess they both ran the ball well, so it's hard to comment. But they have exactly even carries. That kind of seems like you have that scripted out to have even carry, if almost have exactly even, rather than just riding the hot hand.
Yeah. And I would like them to maybe utilize both of them in the passing game a little bit more. Eric Gray just had the 1 reception, but it went for 31 yards.
Yeah.
So I don't know if a lot of that had to do with him just being out a lot of this offseason up until this point, like fall camp.
Right.
Because at one point it was just Todd Chandler was your only scholarship running.
That's true.
back.
That's a good point. You're right.
I'm wondering if that might have been part of it. He just hasn't practiced a ton. But I'd like to see him maybe utilize a little bit more. But I was very surprised at how – I wasn't surprised. I was pleasantly surprised, I guess, by Todd Chandler and how he ran the football.
Yeah, I thought he ran the ball really well.
Just ran downhill hard.
I think everybody's a little shocked when Todd Chandler was named number 1 back and not Eric Gray going into the season.
Yeah.
Maybe some people thought it was more of a how the depth chart's listed, maybe not true. Seems to be true, and he seems to be running the ball really, really well. Not necessarily far better than Eric Gray or Eric Gray any worse, but Todd Chandler ran the ball really well in the season. I think so. Yep, we're good. Sorry.
So yeah, Aaron had a good showing. Had 2 tackles for a loss. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that's right. Or 1 tackle for a loss.
Yeah, he had 2 tackles for a loss. Yeah. One of those was a really big down. I think it was a 3rd down.
Yeah, he looked good.
And true freshman.
And a lot of true freshmen played, and that's used for recruiting too. You're like, these guys haven't practiced a ton, but they're talented enough where we're gonna get them on the field. I think they announced 11 freshmen actually saw the field last night. I think there was actually 12. I think Jabari Small actually got in as well on special teams.
Okay.
So I think there's 12.
And then, did you remember the no names?
Oh yeah, the no name. Was one of them Cooper Mays? I feel like it was.
Not according to the roster.
Right, but I
but
think
he looked like it. I thought when he ran off and took his helmet off, I don't know if it was Pruitt or someone talked to him. And I thought it looked, I jokingly said, is that Cade Mays? Because it did look a lot like Cooper, but not according to the official roster now.
Gotcha. I think one of them was, I don't know. It was 96 and 93. Whoever they were did a great job of blocking.
Yes, I don't. One was from Memphis and one was from Hardin Valley.
Okay.
So, but I can't think of their names off the
They're
top
big.
of my head. They were big guys. They put them in for heavy.
Yeah.
I love the heavy chant. Got
Yeah.
started in the garage
That's
last night. It was a good one. Some other things that impressed or maybe encouraged me is a better way to say it. dude, DeAndre Johnson. We've been talking about guys stepping up. That's to go and step up and replace Darrell Taylor, to add to a defensive line that desperately needed pass rush. Couldn't ask for more.
Oh, no doubt.
So
2.5 sacks. I mean, who saw that coming? I mean, I think we asked this question maybe a month ago, who's going to lead Tennessee in sacks. Some people might have put DeAndre Johnson. It wasn't a ton.
No.
But I don't think anybody would have guessed he was going to have 2.5 sacks
Nobody's
against
guessing
South Carolina.
Absolutely not. And I have Brandon Johnson written right under him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I not that I think everybody knew. Everyone's been aware of Brandon Johnson, obviously. But I don't know if anybody expected him, similar to DeAndre Johnson, to step up and have the game he had last night. I mean, that one-handed catch. It's enough. Remnants of Marquez Callaway on that catch.
Dude, it was nice.
Both against South Carolina.
Just a freaking snag out of the air. And 73 yards. 3 catches for 73 yards. I mean, couldn't ask for anything more than that. And like you said, they kind of just spread the ball around. Ramel Keaton had it seemed like he was always open.
Right.
But JG just couldn't hit him. Only had 2 receptions for 20 yards. Like, he could have had over 100 yards easily.
I'm curious how many balls officially went over wide receivers' heads last night.
They had to be
What the count?
4 or 5.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah, which I know doesn't seem like a lot. Maybe we're nitpicking a little too much, but
it came at times where it would have been nice to sustain the drive.
And during the game, it certainly seemed like a lot.
Yeah,
certainly seemed like a lot. I've also got tight ends. I was maybe not impressed, but I'm encouraged by their play.
Yeah.
Preston Font obviously had a catch. Princeton Font obviously had a catch. Jacob Warren did a pretty good job in terms of blocking. I'm encouraged. Impressed may not be the right word, but you had no clue what you were going to have. Austin Pope's probably out for the season. Nervous about that situation there in that position group. I thought they played decent. I'd like to see them play a little better. That maybe also play calling, getting them more involved, but I feel like we at least have a chance with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we mentioned Alontae Taylor already. That's one guy I have down. Just did a great job of just being all over the field. Some more guys. Kevon Bennett, I feel like, had a half a sack, but always seemed to be back there wreaking havoc.
I felt like whoever was in blitzing on the outside did a really, like you mentioned that earlier in the game, or in the show, did a really good job getting pressure. Maybe didn't always make the play, but were involved in it.
Yep. And then I had somebody else.
I've got running backs too. I mean, they just both played really well. Eric Gray and Ty Chandler. Those are going to be your 2 guys all year. It's going to help JG a lot, get comfortable and be good if they're able to be involved in the pass game. Eric Gray had that flea flicker play, and then I think Ty Chandler had 1 reception as well. So I mean, obviously you'd like to see him get the ball more, but flea flicker play did a good job of getting to your safety valve. Don't remember Ty Chandler's catch off the top of my head.
Jeremy Banks, he looked good when he was in. He had the 2 mistakes that were inexcusable.
I think someone asked about him and Eric Crouch. It's got to be Quavarius Crouch. It's got to be Crouch.
Well, Jeremy Banks played a lot better now. Right, now you had the 2 mistakes that were
they're both personal fouls. They're inexcusable.
Yeah, right.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
I was very discouraged by that.
Yeah, it was.
Especially because
then he makes 2 plays. Because if you take those out, he outplays Crouch 100%.
Right, but those and what's really discouraging about those plays is that Jeremy Pruitt he brought him back on the team, obviously, and then just rant and raved about the leader he was. Leaders don't do that crap.
Yeah, I think the one out of bounds, like, you just got to know where you're at. But
the one out of bounds is a little unfortunate, but I feel like he should have been able to see it.
But the face mask, there's no getting away from that. You did it.
Like, bad.
Yeah.
Late bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not like that.
Yeah. Can't do that. I think our receivers did a good job. Josh Palmer did a good job. Like you mentioned, Brandon Johnson or Mel Keaton. I would have liked to see maybe the freshman receivers a little bit more.
Yeah.
Didn't really see them.
Especially Jalen Hyde. I really think he can be a danger on the outside.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Tell us in the chat who impressed you or who encouraged you, whatever you want to say it. Players specifically, position groups, whatever it may be. I mean, you had to be impressed with something. I know, I know it's easy to be negative as a Vol fan, but somebody had to impress you.
Yeah. It was good to see Elijah Simmons in there.
Oh yeah. Big. You can't miss him either. You know when he's in the game. You're not wondering if even if he's a no name, you're very sure of who's in the game then.
So we have some questions. You want to go ahead and get these
Yeah,
questions?
let's grab those.
Since they're about Tennessee.
Absolutely. Let's grab those and we'll go to college football recap after that.
So Ethan, the Vols guy, says, I'm assuming y'all will talk about it, but who starts next to Henry T next game? Crouch and Banks both had their ups and downs last night, and neither really took control of the spot.
I think because of the personal fouls, it's going to be Crouch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something Jeremy Pruitt is not going to be happy about. So I think it's Crouch for that reason. That doesn't mean it's going to be Crouch against Georgia the next week after that, but
Yeah, he might start. They might punish Banks, but Banks is definitely your better playmaker there.
Yeah.
So you might sit him for a quarter or something like that.
I don't necessarily know if he sits a quarter, but I think he's going to be
He's not going to start probably.
right. I think
because
it's
of
going to
that.
be clean that crap up.
Yeah.
Because those were big penalties too when they came.
Mm-hmm.
One they weren't both on the same drive, were they?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so either. They're both in the fourth quarter, and one was on the drive that they had to kick the field goal, and then Shaw Smith had to come off the field because he was running his mouth and was probably about to get flagged.
Yeah.
On third down, inside 35 yards, and they probably would have thrown the ball to you had you been in the game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Shut your freaking mouth! Like you just got pulled off the field because you have to talk to somebody. Go score a freaking touchdown.
That's another thing that
go score a
I
touchdown.
do want to make sure we improve on is not letting one guy beat us. I
Yeah.
mean, he was their only playmaker.
Right.
10 receptions, 140 yards. I think he had most of that in the first half. It's like, dude, let's stop that. Let's put somebody over the top of him where he's not able to just run free in the open field.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very frustrating that Tennessee's ability to get beat by one guy. Yeah, it's very frustrating.
And it happened to you last year.
It's happened to you, I feel like, forever.
Well, yeah.
Through
I'm
every
like,
coach.
This same guy.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And then Ethan also asks, does Spraggins get the start at right guard going forward, assuming Cade Mays never gets cleared? I'd have to watch the game again, but I feel like he played better than Carvin. I think they're gonna rotate guys. If Spraggins already is getting in the rotation, I feel like he's gonna continue to be in the rotation.
Yep.
And I don't feel like anybody on the line really did a bad job.
No, I don't think so either.
They moved around. Like Wanye Morris was on the right side, a little bit, and Jameer Johnson was on the left side some. It was just weird. They just kind of threw everybody. It was like Brandon Kennedy and Trey Smith are going to have their two jobs, but kind of everybody else is interchangeable.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to maybe see them find more solid positions, but it's also due to probably depth.
Yeah.
So when you're rotating guys in there, it's a little bit harder to do.
Yeah, it's
when you
definitely-
have to rotate guys in there.
It's definitely a good problem to have. And then Cole says, why didn't we go for it on 4th and 1, throwing the ball 3 times in a row, but not running and burning clock? Your guess is as good as mine.
That's a play calling I'd like to talk about.
Yeah. I just think when you're dominating the line of scrimmage like you were, 4th and 1 you go get it.
They would have gotten the ball at our 49, their 49, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
That's my issue. That's my punt it.
Yeah.
That's why I say punt it. I can try to pull up the exact.
But then
I know.
But then the punting wasn't like the exchange and stuff wasn't great, so maybe I don't know. I just feel like you're averaging 4 yards a carry.
But you did get them you got them inside the 20.
Yeah.
Okay, so they would have gotten the ball at their 46.
Okay.
Had Tennessee gone for it there, right? Yes.
And we were up how much at that point?
It was the 31-24.
Okay. We're up. Okay. Yeah, maybe not.
Then
Maybe-
they go
maybe
down.
punt.
Then they go down to their 35.
But you're probably not in that situation if you don't throw 3 straight times.
Right. One of the throws was to that little. It was a run
Yeah.
to Velas. Velas. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't mean. Was it 4th and 1 there? Are we thinking of the same 4th and 1? Because I don't think that was a 9-yard pickup.
No, I think it was more like 6 or 7.
Yeah, it was 4th and 6. It was 4th and 6. So what? Maybe he's talking about another 4th and 1.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't have a 4th and 1 in the third quarter.
I just know we won. That's the good thing.
Or in the second quarter. I don't see one in the third quarter.
I think somebody said like Tennessee's not a number 16 team in the country. I mean,
Is Cincinnati then?
I was like,
Is-
Oklahoma got beat
by a terrible Kansas State team.
that lost to Arkansas State, and then LSU lost to Mississippi State.
Yeah. Don't drive. Let's get into the college. Let's recap some college football while someone's got me riled up now.
I want to make sure we got all those questions. I think we did. Offensive and defensive MVPs. Let's do that. Ooh. We had a lot of guys to kind of say we're impressed by, but let's give out some game balls. Who do you give out to your defense and offense?
Defense has got to be DeAndre Johnson.
Yeah.
Well, you could argue Hino Toto too.
Yeah.
Pick 6. You could argue that. But
yeah, because that's the play of the game. 100%.
Yeah. I think if you're a Tennessee fan or someone who follows football, like we do or like you do, probably listen to the show. You knew for DeAndre Johnson, you knew how important it was to find someone that was a key pass rusher.
Right.
So I think that's kind of why he solidifies himself for me as the defensive MVP.
Yeah, because that was a question mark. Is like, who's going to start opposite of Kevon Bennett? And there's no doubt now.
Right.
Yeah, I'd go with him. Offense, that's where things would probably get a little different.
I think I go Paxton Brooks here. He was 1 for 1. Perfect. I don't know why you can't. Friend of the pod. I don't know why you. I don't know how you stay away from a guy that throws that well.
Yeah.
Seriously, probably Josh Palmer. 6 receptions, 85 yards, and that touchdown where he just burns. Great throw for sure, but he also burned a corner.
I'm gonna go Brandon Johnson.
That's fair, yeah.
The lone third down conversion was his one-handed catch,
and it was a big third down conversion.
And we went down and scored after that.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go Brandon Johnson. I think you could also go with Ty Chandler too. He had a great game. Want to see him get in the end zone. I want to see a 1,000-yard rusher and a 1,000-yard receiver. We're spreading the ball around. I like it, but I like stats too.
Find the talent. Let's find
I want
talent.
those fantasy points.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get into college football.
Yeah.
College football recap. Tennessee's not ranked 16. Well, good news, they're not ranked 16 anymore. Especially, but let's look at who's ahead of them. Oklahoma State, who barely slipped one out against Tulsa.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, North Carolina, UCF may beat us. Texas, who played a basketball game against Tech on Saturday. Welcome back, Big 12.
First to 100.
Good God.
Didn't I saw.
And Notre Dame's number 5. We know Notre Dame's going to fall apart at some point.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Notre Dame's just really good on the front. They're like John Daly. I think John Daly said if golf was at 14 holes, he'd have 7 majors or something. I don't know. But that's Notre Dame. If the college football season was 8 games long, they'd have more national championships than Alabama claims to have.
100%. There's a lot of teams you're just like.
Sure, Tennessee is not 16.
I think somebody picked like Memphis ahead of us. I'm like, okay.
I think they're ranked 22nd right now.
We played
25th,
one
24th.
game and we beat a SEC opponent on the road.
Right.
And Memphis is okay. Yeah. Sure.
I looked at Cincinnati's schedule. I mean, they don't play Power 5 because of how it works out. They may be 10-0, 8-0, whatever, however many games they play at the end of the season. They do play UCF and Memphis, so. Is it UCF?
They did beat Army, who was ranked.
Right.
But yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, don't look too much into it.
I'll say that with the college football playoffs, it always works out. And if you're Tennessee, your SEC team, you're gonna have to go through people you'd have to go through to make it to the college football playoff anyway. So it's gonna work yourself out. If you take care of business, win 10 games, you'll find yourself in the college football playoff.
Right. You ready to recap some games? Start with the SEC?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Starting off with the SEC, number 2, Bama. Making it easy. 38-19 against Missouri. At Missouri. You mentioned it. I didn't know this because I'm just looked at the box score. Didn't look at the play-by-play or anything. I guess I didn't look at the full box score. But 13, is that what you said? 13 of the points were scored in the...
Yep, in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter, so... We'll talk about Missouri on Wednesday, but maybe not too much to worry about.
It was 35-6 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So, well in hand.
Mm-hmm. Next up, number 4, Georgia.
They also Missouri rushed for 69 yards.
Nice,
but terrible.
Yes. Number 4, Georgia 37, Arkansas 10. What an ugly first half.
Oh.
I mean, just a terrible first half. It was bad to watch.
So, Who's their starting quarterback? Is it going to be
Georgia?
Stetson
No one knows. Georgia doesn't even know.
Bennett?
Georgia has no clue.
Because JT Daniels isn't. He's not cleared yet.
So I don't know for sure. Me and you talked about this yesterday, and I just told you yes. I just assumed that because he didn't play and is not playing right now.
Yeah. So somebody told me like they're putting JT Barrett in, and I was like, or JT Daniels. Godly, terrible names.
You're good.
They're like, yeah, JT Daniels going in. I'm like, I don't think he's cleared.
I don't think he was dressed yesterday. I don't remember seeing him.
So they put DeJuan Mathis in.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
It's going to be an interesting ride for Georgia. I mean, they did score 37 points, so that's good for them. But you did play one of the worst teams in the SEC,
You did.
if not the worst. So, yikes.
Also, Sam Pittman is a unit.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's large and in charge.
Yes. Next up, number 5, Florida 51 over Ole Miss 35. That was actually a fun game to watch. A lot of offense. First to 100 in that game.
Dude, Kyle Trask is good. You remember like that was his first start against Tennessee? You were like, oh, we're gonna kill him. He didn't even start in high school or whatever.
Right. Florida's not bad. Their defense thankfully doesn't look incredible right now, so that's a plus, but we also won't see them till December when they probably have it all figured out.
Yeah, that's true. They gave up 600 yards to Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like their defense didn't look
That's
good.
a lot.
Now, Lane Kiffin was very creative. He got the ball around, but it was not a very impressive game from the Florida defense. So that's good.
Ole Miss is going to be scary.
Yeah, they're going to make games interesting, and that kind of leads me into my next one with Mississippi State 44 over number 6 LSU 34. I've been saying it. The fun thing about Mike Leach, he's not going to win anything significant. But what is he going to do? He's going to beat a Bama, an Auburn, an A&M, or an LSU once a year.
It's true.
He's going to make it interesting in the West.
And what I don't understand is like, if you watch any game, any opposing team against Mike Leach, if they beat them, they don't boat race. They don't try to boat race them.
Right. And it's like playing. We talked about this today. It's like playing an Air Force or a Navy. You don't see those offenses all the time. They're hard to defend. It's different than what you normally do. And it's not just different where you're adding in a couple different packages to try to counter what they do. It is vastly different than what you do.
And LSU, like, they're not the same team. No. And if you thought they were actually going to be in the college football playoff again, you're crazy. They had 20 people freaking get drafted.
Right.
They had returned 5.
Drafted, not leave.
Yeah.
They didn't graduate 20 players. They lost 20 players that were good enough to be drafted.
A total of 5 players. So even backups were getting
right
drafted. That's how good that team was last year. There are 5 returning starters. 4 actually played yesterday against Mississippi State. Derek Stingley didn't play. Jamar Chase isn't playing.
Right.
That Shelvin guy, the defensive lineman, he's not playing. He's opted out. So it's just an entirely different team. So they're like, yeah, it's the defending national championships. But none of these guys were actually on the field.
Not the same.
Last year.
It's not the same. If you thought the transformation from 18 to 19 for LSU, wait till you see the 19 to 20 transformation.
Yeah.
And it's off to a hot start.
I mean,
it's going to be
and they did exactly what Mississippi State wanted them to do. They tried to boat race them. Miles Brennan threw for 46 yards. He threw 46 times.
Yeah.
Casella threw 60 times.
That offense is not as dynamic as it is, or as it was last year. They're going to have to change up a little bit how they do it.
Yeah, and once people get, know how they utilize the personnel at Mississippi State, it's going to be a lot different.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Because a lot of people were just like, yeah, I wanted Mike Leach.
Dude, no.
Why the hell would you want Mike Leach?
No.
I would almost rather have Gundy than Mike Leach.
I would take Mike Leach over Gundy. Freaking Mississippi State gets Arkansas and Kentucky the next 2 weeks. Okay, Mike Leach may make a statement. He goes Arkansas, Kentucky, and then A&M.
Yeah.
Who looked terrible in a Vanderbilt game. 12-17, they beat Vandy. They were ranked 10th. I think they moved back to 15th after yesterday. I mean, Vandy, if we're talking about Arkansas being one of the worst teams in the SEC, Vanderbilt might be the worst team in the SEC.
Yeah.
So that's not a good start for A&M, who I think this year when Jimbo got hired, I think kept saying this year was going to be the year in terms of how everything fit. This would be the year that A&M should be good.
Kellen Mond was going to be a first-team All-SEC.
Yeah. Don't think it's going to be this year
His
anymore.
QB rating was a 32.2. He threw for 189 yards on Vanderbilt. How do you throw 189 yards on Vanderbilt?
A win is a win if we're talking, the same view from Tennessee to A&M, but 12 to 17 is... you weren't able to score hardly any points. That's not a good way to start there.
Terrible.
No.
What does that mean? My bad.
And last score for this weekend, number 23, Kentucky 13, number 8, Auburn 29. That was it just wasn't Auburn looks pretty good.
Yeah.
They look pretty good. But it was one of those, I think it was.
Terry Wilson does not look good.
No. Which we knew he wasn't good. They were surprised. They're like, Terry Wilson's off this game. Is he off every game? It looks like a normal game to me.
Yeah.
Stupid, dude. It's like the announcers at Tennessee. I don't even know what their names were. Did you know that Colin Hill tore his ACL 3 times?
Yeah.
You sure?
Well, I
They
thought
kept telling us.
I thought. Oh, okay.
They told us 85 times. In that
Gotcha.
game.
Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, he can move he has surgery.
They must get one fun fact. And that's it. Nothing else.
Don't do any research whatsoever.
One fun fact. They do research. One fun fact, and that's it.
He's from Colorado State. He has long hair and 3 ACLs. That's all.
I don't even know if they mentioned his hair. He looked like a freaking Bachelor in Paradise contestant.
He did. He did.
He looked like what's that movie that was like the knockoff of Troy? That's what he looked like he was from. He looked like he was cast as the Brad Pitt in that movie.
I'm thinking of We Are Spartans, not.
No, that was a good movie. Draw Butler, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Or no, We Are Spartans is the
knockoff of 300. Yes.
Yes, same idea.
Okay.
No, We Are Spartans, I think, was meant to be a comedy, right?
Yeah, it's
This one is not meant to be a comedy. It is like a indie film based like after Troy. Couldn't afford anybody. Got some dude that looked like, it was bad. Bad. Other college games that were interesting that were outside the SEC. Like I said, Kansas State, 38. Oklahoma, third-ranked Oklahoma, 35. Oklahoma looked bad in the fourth quarter. Kansas State lined up. They ran a formation that was illegal.
twice. They did it twice.
They lined up in that formation and ran a play that would have never worked out because it was illegal. These guys coach college football.
Yep. And they lost to Arkansas State the week before.
Right. So if they had backed off that tight end that kept being called for illegal man downfield, if they had backed him off to run him in a route, they wouldn't have had enough men on the line of scrimmage. So it's like they were gonna be illegal one way or another. It's bad. It was an ugly game at the end. Also, we mentioned the shootout, little basketball game going on. Texas 63, Texas Tech 56. Did Texas move up in the rankings because of that?
I'm sure. They're back, baby. College football contender.
Tennessee's not number 16.
Playoff contender.
Whatever. Dude, what about Miami? What's going on in Miami? Number 12, Miami 52. I know FSU's not good. FSU 10, but still, Miami looks pretty good this year. Credit where credit's due, I think.
Yeah, that was. I mean, De'Aaron King's good.
Fair, yeah.
And he's gonna run. He's gonna throw. Like and they finally they recruited good enough to to have some players around him.
Right.
But I mean, they're still gonna get destroyed by Clemson.
Probably. I mean, their defense is gonna struggle against Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
They'll put up points though.
And their
'Cause that
defensive
Clemson
line
defense
isn't
won't be as
gonna
good.
just let De'Aaron King run.
Fair,
everywhere.
but Clemson's defense is down, so I think it could be a good game.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it could be a good game. I've also got
but
UCF.
they looked
Sorry.
rough in the first week.
Miami did.
Yeah, it was 31-14 against UAB. They looked.
Yes, they did struggle week one. They were on upset alert until I think the fourth quarter.
So, I mean, kind of going back to Tennessee a little bit, we thought it'd be sloppy, and it was to some extent, but I was also kind of
It was encouraging, I thought.
yeah, I thought we tackled better than I thought we were going to.
We played faster than outside of probably the first two drives. We played really fast on both sides of the ball, which is good in week one.
Yeah, it wasn't. You didn't have guys. You didn't get a bunch of illegal formations. Not a lot of offsides and false starts. We had some, but it wasn't out of the norm.
Right.
So
I've also got UCF, number 13 UCF, they are scoring points. 51 over ECU, 28. Cincinnati, like you said, beat Army 24-10, 16. I can't read my own handwriting. Pitt, number 21 Pitt. Did you see their helmets yesterday?
It was awesome.
Freaking sweet. 23, Louisville 20. And then Louisiana Lafayette sneaking up in the rankings and almost got beat by Georgia Southern. Took a last-second field goal to win 2018. So they're going to drop eventually, I think. They're going to drop one. Sucks for them. They look like they're a pretty good squad.
BYU they look good too. They're putting up points.
They are scoring a ton of points. Is that Johnny Manziel 2.0? Is that what they called him?
Yeah. He went 23 for 28 with 392 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. I finally got the YouTube chat working. Tennessee actually dropped in the rankings. They did. I know it was I don't get it. I think they did add Big Ten teams back in though.
And Pac-12.
And Pac-12. I was about to say I didn't know if they had Pac-12 yet.
So they
or not.
So it's Mississippi State moved ahead of us, which whatever.
LSU still ahead.
Yeah, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Oregon. And I think there's another like Big Ten team that was ahead of us. It wasn't Michigan.
No.
Penn State.
Yeah.
I think that those are the 5 that moved ahead of us.
Whatever. It's week 2. I don't care.
Right.
Don't care.
It'll work itself out.
Right. David Newcomb said he was disappointed in our analysis of South Carolina. Yeah, I mean, fair, I guess. But they only had 89 yards rushing. We said their offense wasn't going to be good. 89 yards rushing. And they had, Colin Hill had 290 yards, but 140 of those went to Shaw Smith.
Yeah, I mean,
the inability to stop one guy. And then we were right about their defense. They were decent.
Yeah, they're
It would have looked a lot worse if JG could have hit.
and we said our O-line would dominate, and they did.
I don't care. I'm used to being wrong.
Our defensive line was a lot better than theirs.
Yes.
What do we have? 9 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 4 sacks.
4, I think.
I think they had 2.
They had 3, I think. I believe.
Okay. Yeah. So
They had 2.
they weren't good. We should have beat them by a lot more.
I think if you handle Shaw Smith, you do beat him by a lot more.
Yeah.
You should at least. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
So they had 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. We had 4 sacks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the 290 yards is a little inflated because of their ability to find their only good wide receiver.
Yep.
It was very sad. Very sad.
And one of them went for 42 yards. Xavier Leggett catch over the middle.
Yeah, and then a lot. It hurt having Jalen McCall out for most of the game.
And they couldn't run the ball, so they were just gonna throw it.
Right. Whatever though. It's I don't care. We'll just win.
I don't necessarily think we were wrong about South Carolina. They weren't good.
They were not good.
And
That's
we got
true.
the score right, 31 points.
I did. Well, I think I moved mine down to 30.
Okay.
Thursday I said 31. I said 30-20, I think.
Yeah.
Cole World said, why was Slaughter on Shaw Smith most of the game? Ridiculous if you ask me. Where they line up is my best answer.
Yeah, he played in the slot, and he's the nickel.
Yeah, you may need to adjust that a little bit better, but you also could have done a better job. Not necessarily. Danico could have been over him, but get safety help better.
Yeah, and at one point I think he was playing man, and he just wasn't lined. He was lined up like head up, and so the slant was just there. Like they were gonna throw it.
Leverage, people. Leverage.
Yeah, he's a true freshman playing his first college game. Like nothing, it's not gonna be perfect.
Yep.
And with their best offensive player, like you can't get on him too much. He played it. He had a decent game. Yeah, there was times where he got picked on, but that's gonna happen.
Right. David said he was just busting us up. Who knew? But first game jitters. You're absolutely right. It was first game jitters.
Yeah,
I agree. I think we'll be all right.
there was just so much unknown going into this game anyway.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you knew, like you mentioned this with every team too. You knew it was going to be a little sloppy. Just kind of who could manage, and I guess kind of who could have the most playmakers. When you talk about that flea flicker that ends up going for should have been a touchdown, it does result in touchdown. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of ends up who has more playmakers on the field.
Yep.
And that worked out in Tennessee's
favor.
favor.
Who knows how to win?
Tennessee knows how to win. Tennessee knows how to win?
It looks like they do.
Okay, all right, I'm in. Look. I'm a fan of Jeremy Pruitt. I like Jeremy Pruitt. I think he's doing a good job. I think he's going to continue to do a good job. I like Phil Fulmer. I think he's going to continue to do a good job as athletic director. Jeremy Pruitt's 14-12 as a head coach at Tennessee. So a lot of people, and again, I'm not mad. We haven't gotten a chance to talk about the extension and raise.
We haven't.
Let's do that real quick.
Okay.
I don't want to stay on long because he won. He won week 1. I
But
thought it would have.
You had to win.
I thought you couldn't spell Tennessee without gave your coach an extension and raise 2 days before the opener. But
Right.
we did good. I just don't get the timing of it. Now, if the reports are true that they were trying to do it earlier in the year and then now just got it done because of
COVID.
restructuring stuff, fair. He's not got the. But here's another thing. His contract wasn't like up at the end of this year or even next year. It was up in 2023.
Right.
Shouldn't have been in a rush anyways. The raise, he's not taking. He's $400,000. He's not even taking it until next year. So again, it's like, what's the point of the contract? Just to,
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, you got to understand the look of it in college football to say this is your guy and you're sticking with it. So if there is that much trust, could Philip Fulmer not just walk into his office and go, "Hey, you're our guy"?
I think a lot of it's for recruiting.
I mean, fair, but it's like 2023
Because it wasn't like a big it wasn't like a huge
no,
raise.
it wasn't.
So it was a minimal raise, and if he turns out to be the guy, then
It's nothing. I mean, he's
then,
still
then you got a good deal.
right. He's still middle of the pack in terms of SEC contracts.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, I mean, you got to start paying him what he's worth compared. And I'm like, first off, let's pump the brakes on the coaches' salaries. It's getting a little absurd. Second off, which I'm not. I know a lot of people are like, I disagree. You got to go pay the guy. But it's at what point you're gonna start paying players soon, right? Is what it's looking like.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to start restructuring those contracts anyway. So it's not gonna matter in 5 years. But that's not my point. If he's your guy, and if he believes in Tennessee, I hope he hates Alabama now. He seems to. I doubt that. He's from Alabama. It's gonna take a lot to turn a guy like that. He's not gonna leave it an extra $1 million or whatever they would pay him. And maybe they would pay him a crap ton if it came down to it. I don't know. Nick Saban's not going anywhere anytime soon, though, so I'm not worried about that either. People are like, you got to pay him to keep him away from Alabama. Alabama's not going to come knocking anytime soon.
Yeah, and they'd be knocking on Dabo Swinney before.
They're not. They're calling Dabo before Jeremy Pruitt. They're calling a lot of coaches before Jeremy
They'll
Pruitt.
probably call Kirby Smart.
They'll call Dan Mullen before they call Jeremy Pruitt right now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So let's just pump the brakes before. I don't know. You're right. Recruiting does help, but it was also through 2023. Everybody you're recruiting right now, that contract's not going to scare them off currently. Now, again, at the end of this year, I think at the end of this year would be a great time to evaluate what you do. I also haven't seen how high the buyout goes up. That's my big.
I don't think there was anything different to the buyout.
Buyouts are effing stupid, anyways.
Yeah,
it's the dumbest thing on planet Earth. But you assume that goes up. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so that's a good point.
But yeah, it was an interesting timing because it seemed like it was right before your first game. You're like, we don't even know what we're gonna look like. So, what if we go out there and get blown out by a terrible South Carolina team? Then what happens?
It was very strange, too, the people that were, shipping it. That were, all for it. It's very strange to see some of the people that were all for it and some of the people that were against it.
And, again, you have to trust what Phil Fulmer's doing. And everything that Jeremy Pruitt has done, he's done it the right way.
Right.
There's not really anything. The Georgia State was a bad loss. Vanderbilt.
Forgive, never forget.
Yeah, the Vanderbilt was a bad loss. But you also won a bowl game. So if you don't look at that Georgia State as it was a Georgia State loss, and you won a bowl game, no one says anything.
Yeah, I agree. And you talk about trusting Philip Fulmer. I trust Philip Fulmer. I still do. I can still question people's decisions that I trust. Now, I have no say in it, so it's not like he's going to hear me say, what the heck, and be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, and second guess himself. He does not care what I say. Now, Jeremy Pruitt, on the other hand. But, yeah, no, I still trust Phil Fulmer as
But don't get
UT's
burned.
AD.
I guess that's what our
Yeah, we've been abused in relationships in the past.
Yeah, so
we're scared.
That's what the issue is. Not anything against Jeremy Pruitt. It's we've been burnt going down this road before.
Yeah. Cody Branch said we were 1-0 and LSU is 0-1. Why are they ahead of us in the rankings? It seems like the people who do the rankings are football ignorant.
I agree. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
That would be a big jump, though, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
It's week 2 rankings are just as pointless, in my opinion, as week 1 rankings.
If you're 2-0 and LSU is 1-1, we probably jump them next week.
Right.
So,
but these early rankings are almost as meaningless as preseason rankings.
Oh,
just
yeah,
about.
100%.
So
You keep winning, you're going to go up.
yep. Major Brody asked, you guys think Harrison Bailey will get any playing time this year? At this rate, I will be surprised. But someone made a point last night on Twitter, I guess, maybe here talking. Jeremy Pruitt played 4 quarterbacks this year. He'll freaking do it if he feels like he needs to find somebody else. So
Yeah, I think last night with, JG had some issues, but he overcame them, and he probably could have put the game away earlier, but he did put the game away at some point.
sure, I don't know if he did.
Well, I mean that
he did kneel the ball.
Well, that bomb to Palmer.
You're right. Yeah, it was a good throw, and it was a good. It was needed in that situation. You're right.
So
You're right.
I don't see if JG's healthy and the wheels are still on the.
Oh, he's never gonna pull him for
No.
a close win or anything.
No.
Like that. Like the change would not take place this week, for example.
No.
Now, first half Missouri looks bad. I'm not saying it's Harrison Bailey, but he may go to number 2. I think it's possible.
Which is probably JT Shroud.
Probably JT Shroud. Did you like his little video last night? As he went behind, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
Also, man, shout out to Brian Maurer, still bringing the energy. JG's touchdown, he was the first person to greet him on the sideline.
I like it, dude.
I love Brian Maurer, dude. I love that guy.
I think there's
I'm not saying he should start at quarterback or anything, but love his energy that he brings to the team.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. There's more on this team now than we ever had with Butch Jones. And I think
Probably.
I don't think it had to do with the players that were there. I think it was just the culture.
Probably. There's a lot that, yeah, I mean, probably. Yeah. Anything else for college football or Tennessee football? I don't have any more questions.
I'm excited for this week.
I'm very excited for this week. Home game.
I was nervous, but like we got our feet wet. We see what we have, and I think it's something to build on.
Right.
You want to know that was like if you're 0-1 heading into this season, when you like desperately need wins, that's one where you desperately needed to win.
Absolutely. And like I said at the beginning of the show, if you go 0-1, you can't go 10-0.
That's true, yeah.
You could go 0-10 though if you go 0-1.
Ugh.
South Carolina could go 0-10 right now. You know who
could.
can't? Tennessee.
Gosh.
And Mississippi State.
If they go 0-10, they have to pay whatever that $13 million buyout and get the most chance.
If they don't, I'll start a GoFundMe. I won't give you any money. I'll start a GoFundMe for you. I will beg Jeremy Pruitt to bring Muschamp on the staff to get him away from there because I feel bad for you because that's incompetence at its finest.
It is.
Incompetence.
And for like South Carolina and like for them to be in the South and be in a state that has great football teams, like good high school talent, it's weird. Like I understand Clemson's in there; they'd probably take all the.
It would definitely be tough to recruit against Clemson. Yeah,
but I mean, I mentioned it to you last night. I was like looking at their roster, like it's North Carolina and South Carolina kids. There's hardly anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta be. I mean, obviously, you need to be able to close up the borders, but you got to go recruit across. You got to be competitive in the SEC. You got to recruit.
But Tennessee, it's not like it's. You can't be a successful team and just recruit your state.
Yeah.
In Tennessee, you can't do that.
In South Carolina,
they're just not. Yeah, there's just not the talent level that there is in Georgia, Florida.
But I mean, even those. I mean, go look at Georgia and Florida's teams.
Yeah, but they don't even do that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And Texas.
Yeah,
it's very important.
Yep,
very important. Ready to go to high school football?
Yeah, let's go.
Got some good highlights for you here. We will start first off at. I'll let you get that pulled up here. We'll start first at Carnes High School on Thursday night. Listen here. Anytime you score 6 touchdowns, looking at you, Deshaun Bishop, you're getting in my highlight reel. Period.
He's a
6 touchdowns. They win 41-39 over Campbell County. Mr. Do-It-All.
Is he a junior or sophomore?
Not sure, but I do know this is what I like about what Carnes does with Deshaun Bishop. He lines up at quarterback. He lines up at running back. And I've got a feeling they're going to start lining him up at wide receiver more often.
Get him an athlete.
An athlete. I like it. This one, he gives a little high five to his lead blocker there, and they walk it in for a touchdown. Man, most of these touchdowns, he gets out in front, and it's a walk-in, and making defenders look sloppy. Which the game was sloppy that Thursday night on grass. Campbell County doesn't have the luxury of the the Pilot family gift and turf field. So everything was a little bit sloppy there on Thursday night, but Deshaun Bishop had no problem even on the grass. Dude, this kid's just good. Like I said, hey, if you want to get on this highlight reel, if you want to be shown on it, go score 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they were getting to the one and just handing it to him where he could get, like, he was doing it from
He had a 70-yard touchdown.
everywhere.
Yeah, and then the next one we've got Cade Latham out of West. Walks it into a touchdown, and then he makes 2 defenders. I think they call this the spin cycle. I mean, it's nasty. 55-0 over Hardin Valley, and West is going to be tough to beat in 5A. It's going to be a good one for them and Powell. They play this year, regular season, right? Not sure.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we're going to head over to Grace Christian. You told me about this guy, and then I ran across him. Cooper Riggs to Pierce Browning for a bomb of a touchdown. The throw is impressive. The catch gets 2 feet in. I mean, incredible. It's not bad defense. I mean, he is on him. We're not going to call it great, but it's not bad. 2 feet in bounds. I think they say no doubter for Pierce Browning. It's a good touchdown. You're getting in it. Next one, we're heading up to Morristown. If you don't know about Cole Henson yet, you need to find out about him because the dude's flat out good. Finds Micah Simpson here for a big touchdown in the city championship to beat Morristown West 35-28. Rolling to the left, turns, gets his shoulders downfield, and throws. That is a bomb for sure. And finish that game with 486 yards and 5 touchdowns. Dude, Cole Henson's good. And I think he's better at basketball than he is football.
See the quarterback? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a freaking bomb.
Dude, to get your shoulder, for a high school, for any quarterback to get your
Rolling out to your left.
get your shoulders turned downfield and then release it like that,
Yeah.
you got a pretty solid arm. I think they call that a big arm. Dude, he's good.
I've heard a lot about
Again, you want to get on my
Morristown.
5 touchdowns. You want to get on the highlight, throw for 5 touchdowns. Throw that bomb of a touchdown. You'll get on it. I promise. You'll be on. Dude, there's good high school football in this area. Makes it fun.
Did you know Ravenwood played IMG this week?
No. What was that final? I guess since I didn't hear about it, not great.
It was. I had it. Oh. My computer just shut down.
Oh,
that's
no.
cool.
We've had some computer issues today.
I think it was like 45-14, something like that. So not great.
I'm going to assume IMG won that one.
Yeah.
Did they go down there or did IMG come up here?
I think they went down there.
Gotcha. It's crazy you didn't hear about that more.
But IMG is the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, no, they've got like 59 players committed to do. Yeah, I'm not knocking Ravenwood,
Right,
In the
no.
sense that you probably think I am. I would not expect any high school team to go down there and beat IMG.
But I think it was like
hey, props to Ravenwood for going to play them.
it was like 17-3 at halftime. Like, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, props to Ravenwood for. There are not a lot of high school, from administration to down to the players, that would want to go play IMG. So
Yeah.
props to everyone for kind of stepping up to that and doing it. Not a lot of people would.
I think
I don't blame them either. I don't blame them.
They also played. I think this is the second year in a row they've also played Pulaski Academy, which is the best school in Arkansas.
Okay. Is that the one that does the? No, it's not.
They do the overtime show. It's the one that the dude never
yeah.
punts.
That is the
and
one
always
that
goes for
okay.
2. Yeah.
It's great. That dude's insane. Have you read his book?
No.
Pretty interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
I know he's good friends with Belichick, which that's kind of surprising.
Very surprising. I wonder how many trick plays, because he has a load of trick plays, because that's a lot of what they run on those, like the big fourth down ones.
Yeah.
So, hey, but I'm loving the coaches that go all onside kick, which is what he does every time. I'm loving that.
And last year they had a girl do it. They had a girl
did
soccer
they?
player do it.
Nice. No boy soccer players at Pulaski.
Yeah.
None that could onside kick it that well.
Yeah, I guess not.
What about whose onside kick was it yesterday? Fantastic. The punter beat it there and was like right at like 10.5 yards.
Oh wow.
What game was it?
Oh, was it Texas Tech?
Was it Texas Tech? I think it was.
Okay. Yeah. I do remember.
It was a
seeing that.
phenomenal onside kick. Phenomenal. Imagine recovering 2 onside kicks in a game and not winning. That would suck. That would suck bad. It couldn't be the Vols. They just need 1.
That's all we needed. Eric Gray.
Right. You have any more questions?
I don't. That's all I got. David Schneck says, "Hey guys, I won a face mask last night. Who do I email to get that?" Email Billy Ratliff at volunteerroadshow.com or Bobby C at volunteerroadshow.com, and they will get that to you.
Perfect. Jaquel Holman said Ravenwood played at home against IMG.
Okay, that's surprising.
I think IMG is willing to, like, they traveled to Catholic. I think they are willing to travel to play people because they can't find games in Florida because teams don't play them.
That's probably true, yeah.
No, there are a lot of teams that will not play IMG. Similar to how there's some teams around here that
wouldn't play IMG.
Can't pick up games. Yeah, I don't blame them.
Yeah, I mean, if you needed a game, that would be the. I mean, it doesn't count.
So we can get a Maryville IMG because they're always looking for games. Maryville
would never play.
No,
IMG.
they wouldn't. I don't blame. Again, I don't blame them. I don't.
It would be cool. It would be cool to see Maryville play like a. I don't even know, like a national schedule. Not a national schedule, but maybe a regional schedule. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Because they're always in the top of those rankings.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be interesting. For sure.
I'd like to see Alcoa do it too. You don't have to play like baseball. Like
No, you can play schools similar to your size, and it'd be somewhat even. I mean, I guess those schools might be able to recruit, but I mean, aren't you able to as well? High school football, it's awesome.
Yep.
And
there's no recruiting.
That's a little sarcasm because it is awesome, but it's also
a lot.
You know, parents get divorced to move their kids to better schools so they can play immediately. Kids fake injuries so they can get out.
They go buy like a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yep, exactly.
Or condo or something to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
Kids move across the country to play for powerhouses and then move again to play for another powerhouse. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
What about teams that like a lot of teams move? I heard of one kid moved because his team in California wasn't playing, so he moved to Georgia.
Yeah, his parents had to file for divorce to get him eligible.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. That happens in Knoxville, but it's happened there too.
How often, like, how long do they have to be divorced for?
I think just while he's playing, so senior year, and then they'll get.
They
said they'd get remarried
and push it back.
I guess, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. You ready for most important of the week?
Yeah, let's go.
Most important of the week. What do you got? What you got for me?
I got Phillip Rivers throwing his 400th career touchdown.
Nice.
So, I love the first comment. It's like, and 400 career picks. He got there somehow, so.
Is that, like, how many picks does he have? Not 400. I'm an idiot. There's no way. No way. Where's my most important at? That's a fail. We had no question. Do we have any? Yeah, we did have a question about Cade Mays. I was like, we didn't get any questions about Cade Mays. How amazing is that? We did get one.
Yeah.
Special day for Gardner-Webb football as running back DJ Hancock was surprised at the conclusion of practice with a full ride scholarship. Did you see the video by chance?
I'll
have to show it to you later. I don't have time to get it pulled up on here, guys. Apologize. It's an awesome
He's
video.
thrown 201 interceptions.
Okay. I knew it couldn't be 400.
So what?
So whoever Gardner's Webb coach is, I mean, he spoke very highly to the entire team of DJ Hancock. Even went as far to say as if he has kids, he hopes they're half the men. This guy. I mean, it's first off I think he's about to be a senior, and he's a walk-on obviously, and got awarded a scholarship. Dude, I love those videos. They're my favorite.
I'm trying to see if I have any more.
I mean, I'm ready to go to failed. I got two.
I got another question. Jimbo Kennedy says, are Shrout, Maurer, and Bailey not good enough to beat out JG? If they're not, what is their issue? I just think they're comfortable with JG. I think it's what hurt Harrison Bailey. I don't know, like what hurt Harrison Bailey is this whole COVID thing. Yeah. He was out due to contact tracing. Didn't get a spring practice, so that just kind of hurt his chances. I don't know if he'd even like really compete for the job anyway, but that really hurt his chances.
No, for sure.
And the other two, it was obvious that JG was the guy last year, and we heard good things about Shrout and Camp, but I don't think it was ever in question who was going to be the starter come week 1.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't have any more most important.
Deion Sanders getting
in
Jackson State head coaching job
big fashion too.
with an entrance.
Yeah.
That's
So, Last Chance U tweeted like their Twitter
I
account.
saw that.
Did you? Dude, that would be an electric show.
I would
a lot
love
of
fun.
it.
It'd be
I hope they would do it though, like week by week, kind of how that ESPN Plus show on Kansas with Les Miles. So they'd release it like it would come out the Saturday. It would come out the Saturday, like the previous Saturday. So week 1, if Tennessee was doing it, they would drop week 1 on. I think it'd be actually on Friday. So they would drop it this Friday.
okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't as long as a Last Chance U episode, but the content was good.
So kind of like All or Nothing. Have you seen that? Because
Yes.
they kind of do like pregame like Friday, and then it'd go to game day.
Yeah.
They kind of have like a game a week, pretty much.
Right. But do they release those week by week, or are they all released at the end?
Oh, maybe it is all released at the end.
I've only ever watched them. I've only ever
I-
binged them, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's the same
Okay.
with me.
Any more most important? We did have someone mention, it was also talking about that. They said, I think Harrison Bailey will redshirt. Yes, this year won't affect him, but he can play because it doesn't count for anybody.
Right.
And then someone said they want experience over talent at the moment because this is a wild year and experience will pay off for us. That's a good point, but I'd counter that and say I think talent will be a big portion too, because it's going to be a lot about how your biggest playmakers can they make plays.
Yeah, and you're able to develop guys and let them get snaps without affecting their eligibility.
I do think they like the comfort of JG because of his experience, though. So I do agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
I do agree with that. Fails. I got a great one. I'm going to start this one off because I'm probably stealing it from you. Our boy Tyrod Taylor. What is going on with the Chargers?
Dude.
How does that happen? If you don't know what happened, a team doctor incidentally punctured his lung while giving him a painkilling injection just before the game last Sunday against the Chiefs.
Yeah, and then I have another failed with the Chargers and Tyrod Taylor is Anthony Lynn comes out after Justin Herbert had a great game against the Chiefs and says if he's 100% ready to go, he's our starter, talking about Tyrod Taylor. And then they inject him, and now he's not the starter.
Good Lord, dude. Oh, hey, I've got one more most important, by the way.
Okay.
Vols are bowl eligible. There will be no requirement to play in a bowl this season if approved by NCAA's council. Vols are bowl eligible, baby.
So
that's
is
the-
Vanderbilt, too, though.
That's the earliest Tennessee's ever been bowl eligible.
Oh,
Will all the bowls invite just SEC teams because they would sell tickets?
you have to think.
Vanderbilt will make a bowl?
So if that's the case, can we get like any bowl? Can we just do any bowl? Does it have to be like specific to that conference?
Yes, they'll still have the conference requirements.
That's dumb. I guess they do that regionally, but like it's still kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a display of somebody that we'd probably never see before.
No, I think it'd be fun. Yeah. I got one more most important. Kind of what you talked about it, but 11 Vol freshmen played in their first career game against South Carolina. I think you mentioned that. So it was 12, actually. Is that what you said?
So Jabari Small
Did play
on special
Okay.
teams, so I'm pretty sure it was 12.
That's pretty cool. 12 freshmen against an SEC. I mean, you kind of need to with the way the roster is this year and people sitting out. But that's still 12 guys getting in there. I mean, it shows that young guys are going to be really important to this team, but it's also, I mean, it's just good to get young guys in.
And does that not sell in recruiting too? When you're
if
telling
you-
guys like, hey, these guys didn't even practice that much, and they still got an opportunity to get in the game as a true freshman.
If you're good enough to play, you're going to play.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yep.
So if you believe you're good enough to play and you want to start, come to Tennessee.
Right.
Absolutely. You got anything else?
That's all I got.
Guys, really appreciate y'all listening to this episode. The Vols are 1-0 and bowl eligible. And, hey, that's a big win over South Carolina. Like, I jokingly say it, but it is also true to go 10-0. You have to win the first one.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to, you win this game. Now you go on to the next. Missouri kicking off at noon in Knoxville. We'll be back at you Wednesday previewing that. Plus talking about NFL in their week 3. Looks like Seattle might win this unless the Cowboys can pull another what they did last week. But I don't know if that was up to the Cowboys or it was really against Atlanta.
They did the same thing today.
They did. I think it was more so Atlanta, not Dallas.
Dan Quinn's got to get fired, right? I mean,
Tonight.
that's terrible.
I would say before you leave for the airport, but it was a home game, so just fire him before you leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be talking about some of the NFL, of course, our power rankings. If you got any questions, drop them throughout the week, and we'll get to them on Wednesday, or maybe Landon will tweet back at you if he's feeling good.
Maybe.
Make sure you follow along on social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. More important issues and Volunteer Roadshow.
It ain't got to be pretty. You just got to put out, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's how last night kind of went. It wasn't pretty at all, but we took care of business. We won the game. Vols are 1-0. We're bringing the boat in, and we out.